What's up, everybody? How we doing out there? Thank you for joining us. This is my wife, Gracie Tracy.
Hello.
And this is Bruce. And we have a fun one lined up today. We are going to speak with the world's #1 astrologist, Miss Debra Silverman. And there she's there. She's right there. So what's up? All right, audio's up. Did I let her in?
Okay. Oh.
The last time I saw you, you were just about to get married.
I had curlers in my hair.
I know. I love that story so much. We have to share that story. That is such a privilege. I just want to say out loud. How does somebody end up being an astrologer in the moment that two people are about to do the most important thing in the whole world? And there I was. How did that even happen? Tell us the story.
Well, I can tell the story since Grace didn't know about it, since it was a surprise for her. I know how much Grace loves astrology. She's huge into it. All of her best friends, they talk about it. They come over for readings from Grace from time to time. And I was trying to think of some surprises for the wedding, you know, to hit her with, to make the day just that much more special. So this probably 3, 4, maybe even 6 months before the wedding, I kept asking her, because obviously I'm not as up to speed in this world as she is. I was like, who would you say is the world's best astrologer? You know, like, who is the one? Who is the Tom Brady? Who is the Michael Jordan? And everyone said, or she said, and then I asked some other buddies too, and they all said Debra Silverman. So I don't remember if I emailed you first or DM'd your account or something, but yeah, we tracked it down that way. And then from there, after you heard about it and so graciously agreed to do it, it was a crazy matter of trying to find when to do it, because I knew I wanted to do it the day of the wedding or the day before, so it was really fresh and right there, and we could ride that hype and momentum straight into the event. And that is what led us to speaking with you while she was getting her hair and makeup done.
Why does it make me so happy? Everyone's smiling. So for those of you that don't know what it is, astrology, because I know that Gracie has a passion for it. And there's lots of people. Gracie, has it been true since you were young?
Yeah, since I was little.
Yeah, there's so many people who have a love for astrology, but they don't know what it is. And guess what? This is so crazy. I'm going to tell you something. You said Tom Brady. Next week, I'm doing an immersion, and Aaron Rodgers is our first interview.
So the second I said the Tom Brady, I realized I should have said the Aaron Rodgers, because I know you work very closely with him. Also, he was my quarterback in Green Bay for a bit, so hopefully he's not listening right now, because I definitely should have said the Aaron Rodgers.
That's okay. So the point of that story is, for you guys that don't believe in astrology, there's people like what happened with Mojo, like people that are being introduced to it that didn't believe in it. And this immersion that I'm doing is 5 days. Listen to the people that are in it. First one is Aaron Rodgers. Then comes India Ari. Do you know who India Ari is?
Oh, yeah.
She's one of my heroes in life. And she's also like Aaron. She's done all my classes. So for those of you that don't believe in astrology, and there's probably a lot of people in your audience that are going to watch this and go, what is he doing now? Like, what is she influencing him doing? This is the craziest thing, but it's old. It's the oldest science on earth. Aaron was quoted to say, football is a baby compared to astrology.
That's true.
I love that line. So it's the oldest science on earth, and its function, and you guys can talk about this, is to explain each other to each other. So we got to do that on your wedding day with your curlers in your hair. But if any of you are ambivalent or confused or you don't believe in it, please, in honor of these two love bugs, come do the free immersion. It's starting next week. I don't know if it's in your bio, Mojo, where it is, but you can just go to my Debra Silverman Astrology Instagram, and we're going to have 5. The other famous person is Maria Menounos. Do you know who that is? So she's our third person. And then we're having Danielle Laporte, who lots of people know her work. It's a spiritual teacher who's been, and then last is this guy from Menudos. He's a guy that sang with that band, and his name is Ash Ruiz. So we have this really cool group of people. And if you're not believing in it, let's talk about what happened on your wedding day. Like, what was your takeaways from our session? What stayed with you?
Well, I loved it because it was fun. It's like when your parents tell you to do something and you're like, no, no, no. And then someone else says it and you're like, that's maybe a good idea. So I felt that was my experience when I'm like, Dean, listen to this, or come look, like, this is what your Venus sign is in. And he's like, okay. And then you have Debra Silverman explain it to you. And now it's interesting. And it's like, well, that actually makes sense because it's not, not your partner.
The wife and the partner telling, yes. And you're both water signs, which I find really interesting. There's a Scorpio and a Cancer, right. And in astrology, when it's the same element, it automatically gets along. So the most compatible are two people who have a similar quality, and you both are sensitive. Of course, we know that you can't tell by looking, but Mr. Mojo's super sensitive. Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone.
Kind of a secret. And then his sweet wife, who I remember this so well, of just the love of your life, like to watch you guys on that day. I like to get high off other people's joy. I'm one of those people that like stare at couples when they're in love. I'm staring at them. Like, how did you guys get so lucky? So any of you out there who are curious about, well, I don't even know what I am. This is the nature of astrology, is reminding yourself about your personality type, and then becoming comfortable in your own skin, which I don't think that either of you have a problem with that part.
No, not one bit.
I think we're good there.
Yeah, but the point is astrology and why Gracie's so interested. I mean, for me, it's my favorite thing in the whole world that people can actually become themselves and have a language to talk about. See, there's my 3. I'm a Gemini. Yep. It's above my little, and then look, it's above my head.
Beautiful.
Oh, cool.
That's so cool. Is that a projection?
It's the planets seem to follow me around. Isn't that crazy? Everywhere I go, there's planets. So the invitation for you guys is, and there's Tori DeVito. Do you know who she is?
I'm not sure.
Tori DeVito's an actress. So that's the other person that I'm doing in my my immersion, which is free to people. I feel like a drug dealer. Like, I get people a little bit of the flavor and they go, I want more. Because once you understand your kids, that's another big value of astrology, is when you know what your kids are like, and you've got a kid like Mojo who's got so much chi, you got to throw him outside. But if you have a kid who's so sensitive and tender and wants to stay in, you need to know as a parent how to custom design your parenting. So I'm like a cheerleader. I'm a drug dealer. And I'm addicted to astrology. Oh, I've said everything I need to say now.
Someone's going to chop up that quote, Debra. Interesting DMs about what you're serving them. I think another interesting thing about astrology that I'm sure that will be discussed in the immersion with the people who work closely with you, is that has helped me a lot, is understanding that everything is cyclical, and that there is every cycle, whether it be good or bad or challenging, is a universal experience. And people go through these challenges and highs and lows. And that also knowing, like, okay, well, that was a bumpy few weeks for me personally. Then you look at the things that are going on in the universe. It's like, well, we just went through this crazy retrograde season. Yes. And it's like, okay, well, there's an end to that. And it will happen.
It just changed 2 days ago. Yes, you're so right. So the last 3-4 weeks, while Mercury was retrograde and Mars was retrograde and Uranus was retrograde, it just shifted about 2 days ago. So I wonder if you're feeling it. Like, suddenly things are moving again. There's fluidity. Right. And that's what your point is, that there's rhythms. Life goes in rhythms. And there's bad times where everything goes bad. And then there's times where all of a sudden you're getting married and you're getting a new house and those rhythms are so important to understand, because it makes this life so much easier than to not take it personally. Because we all think everyone's screwed up, just to say it out loud. Humans come that way. And then astrology helps make sense of it. Like, I'm not alone. Oh, I'm right on schedule. Oh, this was part of my teaching, part of my lesson.
Totally. And to not like fight the current, but learn how to surf some of the waves of like, this is a little, not ideal. But then you can find the toolbox of like, well, I can see that this transit might be challenging for me, especially because I'm an emotional person. I have water signs in my chart. So maybe I'm going to like call a friend, or I'm going to reach out and do some physical activity to try and move my body and move this energy instead of sitting in it, which I personally tend to love to wallow in.
Said the little Scorpio. She has a tendency to want to wallow.
I'm like, let's go a little deeper.
That's because you have. I'm looking at his chart, but both of you, but you don't wallow, do you, Mojo? You have a lot of water. What do you do with your sensitivity?
Work it out.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So, to your point, Gracie, some people are depressed, and what is depression but pushing down energy? That's what depression is. So to go work out, or to put on music, or to know the medicine. And then some people are such workaholics and they're always working out. They have to learn to slow down. Who would that be? They have to learn to slow down and sit still. He raised his hand. So you have to figure out in your personality type how to be yourself. And some people love to talk and others do not like to talk. That would not be me. But as soon as you know your personality type, everything gets so much easier. I don't know why I've written a book called The Missing Element, which is for people that don't believe. There's no astrology in the book. The Missing Element. And you figure out what you're missing. Like, let me give you the four of them. So one is you both have this, super sensitivity. They're really cuddly. They get their feelings hurt and don't tell anyone. They have an incredible love for animals and for little people, and they want to cook and play house. Now, where's the dog? What did I tell you? Okay, they're both water. That was ridiculous. And then there's some people who are air people, which is what I am, up there, double air. They talk and they read and they watch Instagram lives and they get on site to the computer and they take a dive and they don't come out for days sitting in front of a computer like an airhead, being fascinated but not moving. So there's those people. Then there's the earth people who are super grounded and they're all about money and spreadsheets and they know how to use Excel. I don't even know how to do this. They make Excel spreadsheets and they love to do budgets and they get off on having insurance. I'm like, why are we talking about this? And they go to Costco and they buy boxes of Windex. they love to clean. And you've got a little bit of that, Gracie. And then the last one is fire, which is what Mojo has lots of. He's got Moon in Sag, Saturn in Sag, Uranus in Sag. This is the physical people who are blunt and honest and loud and they can't stop wiggling, Mojo. So there's four, and that's the opposite of the water. So if you know your personality type, that was me doing a general version of The Missing Element, the book that I wrote. If you want to study it and figure it out, it's only twice a year that we have our school open. And right now, we can bring the dog with. You can sign up for the school. You guys should come take. Gracie, do you know about the class?
I have looked at your classes many times, and as I've been traveling the past couple years through these crazy phases of my life, I just haven't found the time in my life to fully commit to doing them. But it's been on my list for a while to join one of your courses.
Well, how can I help you? I'd love to help you. Because if you took the class, there'd be lots of people sitting next to you. So if you want, there's Suzanne wants to sign up for the school. All you have to do, there's two options. One is you go to my website, and the other is we have interestcall.com. It's where you can call and talk to somebody, and then they tell you all my song and dance and say, come be an astrologer. It's not even being an astrologer. It's falling in love with who you are. Like watching you guys get married, that quality of being in love, where you're with somebody and you're like, why do I like you so much? Think if you could do that with yourself. Because this makes all the difference in the world. If you fell in love with you, just sounds funny, but it's true. But it's really true that once you fall in love with you, then I wish you guys could see. I'm going to show you the coolest thing. Look, the sky right now is blue and pink. Can you see it?
Beautiful.
And there's all the palm trees.
We've got some palm trees here too in Florida, but our sky is not blue and pink. It's just regular clouds.
I had to share it with you because when do you see purple and blue? And it's all because I'm talking to you. It rhymed. Okay, kids. So if any of you want to come, first of all, the immersion is free. It starts on Monday. Aaron Rodgers is our first candidate. He literally, I got to tell you, when I watched him learn astrology, first of all, who knew a quarterback was that smart? His intellect is so... He learned astrology faster than I could talk. I was like, and then he memorized. I guess that's what football players have to do, right? Because they're doing that there's so much going on. His mind learned astrology. And then he just made me realize that there's some people smarter than others. Some people they've got like an extra thing in their head. He's got 5 planets in fire. Oh, really? You have, let me just tell you how much you have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 planets of fire. He wins. But you got married to the most amazing wife, so he didn't get that part.
Yeah.
Not yet, unless he wants to later. Not with me, but
Coming soon to everybody. Listen, all of you can find your partner when you start partnering with yourself, when you start falling in love. Just think about these two and how much they love life and how much they're giving to us and how much Mojo gets so excited over nothing.
everything.
Everything. I mean, even astrology, the fact that the day of your wedding, I couldn't believe, I was like, wait, somebody, one of my assistants called and said, there's a guy who's a wrestler. I was like, wait, I did the football player. Now we're doing a wrestler whose wife is in love with astrology. Okay, I'm in. And then the fact that she had her curlers on and I was sitting there in front of you was one of my favorite stories, just so you know.
I was like, we have to do a call with Debra Silverman right now. I have rollers in my hair. And he's like, who cares? It's fun.
And were you totally, completely surprised?
Yeah, I was totally, completely surprised. I had no idea this was, I was like.
Also, like, dropped it on her, too, while she's getting ready to kick off all the wedding festivities. And we're in Italy, and we planned the whole thing in 2 months, and everyone's family trying to get there. And, oh, my God. Yeah, there was a lot going on. It was like, hey, I need an hour. What do you mean an hour? We don't have an hour. We're already running. Nope, we're
And she had these big curlers in her hair.
It was fun.
It was
and
good.
it really,
It's
so informative and so affirming, and really added a sprinkle of extra magic to an already magical time for us. But it definitely gave us that additional like boost of confidence. Not that we needed more of it,
No,
but
it just, and I remember talking to you about how you have so much Scorpio in you and you're so intense and you're so goal oriented, and then him nodding, yep, like a control, like you have to have control. And those are the kind of things a couple wants to know. Like, oh, so she's not trying to control me. It's just her nature. She's Scorpio. She's going to drive the ship. And then his little Cancer goes, don't worry, honey. I love you just the way you are. I love that story so much. Okay, well, is there anything else you want to share? If you're at all interested in understanding why you're on this planet, only the most important question in the whole world, and be able to use a language based on our good friends that never go away, they last for the rest of this universe, they've been here for the beginning of time, then come study with me. Mm-hmm. I want you to do it. Go.
We've talked about throughout this and before, you don't have to be someone like me to get something from these videos and get something from Debra, because the way that you speak about astrology and the stars, the reason why I followed you for so long is because you don't need to talk about the trines and the sextiles and these angles and what they mean, if they're in, exaltation or what they are. They're so simple, so easy to understand, and it's applicable in every part of your life, whether it's relationships, athletics, career. There's so much you can gain. If you have zero knowledge, you can gain something. If you're an expert and you've been studying for years, you can gain something, because it's just so easy to digest and understand. I think that's really cool. And
because I talk English, because there's so many people, you guys, that talk gibberish. They do jargon and they make it so complicated. And my whole thing is, how do I make this simple?
Yeah. And that's probably why you're successful, because you can take that and give it to the masses in a way that people can say, okay, I get that.
And it's all, you know what? It's so simple, you guys. It comes down to the elements. And when you look at Mojo and you see all his fire, and then you get surprised because he's actually water. So he's not just a bossy, ball-busting, pushy guy. He's actually a sensitive. And Gracie, you would know that. But, it's so interesting because you can't tell who someone is till you go under the system.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's longing to get rid of the gremlins. Everyone has voices in their heads that say mean things all the time. It's kind of sad. We're built with internal dialogue that is mean. That's what this immersion is. The immersion is all these famous people that I'm interviewing. They're all going to talk about how they move from the negative part, because they've all had readings with me, how they move from the negative part to being able to your point, reframe, change the dialogue in English from, let's say you're a personality type who is, like, let's just use Mojo. So he has so much fire and he gets so excited. And then he learns that's okay. Like, that's not going away. So then there's permission to say, okay, so is there a volume knob on this thing? Like, can you turn the fire up or down? Nope, it just runs hot. He only and he gets so excited over nothing. And if someone was trying to judge him or put him down, or if he felt self-conscious, the whole thing breaks. And then you get a wife who says, "I love you just the way you are," and she studies your chart, and then magic happens.
Yeah, that was one thing that was cool for me after we talked the day before the wedding, was kind of seeing like the correlation there between almost like the astrological elements and the like psychological elements. So that was something we were kind of keeping in our heads on the honeymoon, and then afterwards is, you know, how different we are in certain things, and how that's okay, and how to manage that, and how if we get tired, she might need to relax and take herself out of a situation. I need to thrust myself into more mayhem, chaos, or go work out.
Exactly, because you're fire, and fire people get calm from working out. And because Gracie's water, she needs a timeout completely. So it's totally opposite. You have to go work out to get relaxed, and she has to relax by being still. And there's lots of people watching this who can't figure out why they're so different than their husband or their wife or their kid.
And why you're like trying to force something that doesn't have to be forced. So that was a really valuable piece of information for us, because I have no fire in my chart, and I could not understand for the life of me, like, why he was forcing himself to work out all the time when he's tired. I'm like, no, relax. Like, why don't you lay down? Like, take a shower,
Exactly.
I'm just going to go for a run. My brain could not comprehend, even with my knowledge of astrology, what the heck he was doing. And I think him vice versa. So once we heard it again from you, to be like, no, that's like what his body and brain needs to calm down. I was like, okay, I'm gonna release control, one of my things, and let him do that, because he's a better partner when he has the physical element. Right. I'm a better partner. Wow.
That's such a good example. So water people, when they want to relax, they want everyone to go away. They want to be quiet and alone and don't bug me. Air people need someone to talk to. They cannot live without giving you every thought they're having. And earth people, they have to clean when they're upset. They start organizing. It's the weirdest thing. They feel comforted by getting things in position. And fire people have to exercise. They do not want to relax. It's unnatural to ask them to sit still. So there's a great example of the four elements describing a different style. And then you, as a parent, as a husband, as a wife, you go, you know what, honey? Go for a run. You're much nicer when you come back.
And that's the truth. And that's what astrology taught us that.
Yes. So, and someone just wrote, I'm a Virgo and I'm organizing right now while I'm listening. That's so funny. But that's what people have different styles. And my job is, I call it permission slips. Remember when you were a kid and you'd go to school and you'd raise your hand, can I go to the library? And they'd write you a permission slip. Did you guys ever have that?
Oh, yeah.
And then you had to walk through the hall with a little piece of paper. Well, I feel like as an astrologer, I give out permission slips. Like, you are allowed to go for a run, and you are allowed to go by yourself and go get lost in Instagram and play on the Instagram. That's air. And you are allowed to go put on music and dance like a crazy person in your room all by yourself. Like, permission slip. Yes.
Don't get them going.
Yeah, no, don't get them going now. Okay. But my point is, you guys, the way it's love language, it's astrology, but more than anything, the most important part is that you start to fall in love with who you are, and you realize that you came to this planet for one reason, and that's to be you. Everyone else is taken. Just do you. Just do you. And if you can't figure out why you're so weird, because everybody is, they're either screwed up or weird, then you get the chart and you go, oh, now I get why I control everybody. And it doesn't go away, the behavior, but the understanding creates this amazing freedom. I know. I should have been a used car salesman. That's what my dad said. That's what my dad said. He was like, you can sell anything. But when you see true love, like I can see in you two, and everyone's longing for the same thing, they all want true love. It starts by intimacy. Is into me I see. The more I know me, the closer I can get to you and say, honey, you have to let me go for a run. Don't you dare try to change me. Oh my God, every man in the world wants to pay me money right now. Tell my wife to stop trying to change me, he said.
And vice versa, every wife saying the same. Don't try to change me.
That's really why I called you from the start. That's the reason, actually. It had nothing to do with Grace.
I love that. Okay, so The thing I'm excited about is hearing Aaron, because he, you know what he does? He works with his whole team and talks about their chart. He can now pull a chart up, and he's really knowledgeable. And the same is true with India Ree. India Ree, like you, Gracie, she was fascinated when she was a kid. Some people come with a memory of like because it's so old. It's in our zeitgeist. It's in our like back chambers of our room. And so she, from a young girl, always loved astrology. And then she took to school, and I watched her. She's so intellectual. She's a Libra. She's an intellect. She'll be talking about how she writes using astrology and getting inspired. And then Maria Menounos, who is so pretty. Do you know who she is?
She's stunning, yeah.
I actually know Maria Menounos well because the first time, and all my wrestling fans will know this that are listening, but the first time I won the 24/7 title in the WWE, it was in Times Square, New York City on the Fox New Year's special, and Maria Menounos was the special guest referee and raised the arm.
And the referee?
She was for that segment. Yep, it was great. So
on New Year's Eve in Times Square, that's the craziest story ever.
I'll send you pictures for sure of that, so you can talk to her.
So sweet, and she loves this. You know what? When I went to LA and worked with her and her husband, and she did not know her chart. She is a Gemini. She's got obviously the gift of the gab. My God, and she's so pretty. I almost wanted to turn the whole thing off and go, "Can I just stare?" Like, how can someone look that good? Anyways, and then I found out she had all this water in her chart. See, this is the thing. People don't know. So all these years, her sensitivity was showing up with symptoms, like the body took it on because she couldn't understand why she was so sensitive. So instead of taking time out like a water person needs to, or meditating, as soon as she learned to meditate, her whole life changed.
Wow. Astrology genuinely can change people's lives. And taking away the like uber mystical element of it, and that it all has to be so magical, that it's like structured and simple, and you can take what you want and leave the rest, but that it can change no matter what career you're in. It can change the trajectory of your life, and like you're saying, your physical symptoms, because you learn to accept and express who you are in a way that's just natural, instead of like hiding those shadow parts and stuffing them down because you're you're allowed.
And you know what else? Like, my chart is about to change, and this is the astrologer talking. I've been running this school for 8 years, and it's a 7-year cycle. It just shifted, and I know that.
Yeah.
So I am getting ready. Don't tell anyone. They're talking about doing a TV show with me.
Oh, hey.
But it wouldn't be surprising, because I'm in, as your point, Gracie, I know my chart's changing.
Yep.
So rather than me resist it, because I don't like change, some people love it, I don't. I looked at my chart and I was like, "Excuse me, are you going to practice what you preach, or are you just full of it?"
Yeah, and that would be, you'd be perfect for that.
I know, and it's going to be the interesting show where people are going to reveal their secrets, and then I'm so excited about it. Not their secrets, but it's a therapeutic, because that's the difference, you guys. It's to your point, Gracie. I'm not just an astrologer. I'm also a psychotherapist. So I'm working on the psychology and changing it when we do sessions for you. So any of you interested, this is so kind of you two. Gracie, I don't know how I got to be the OG. I mean, I'm like the astrologer people talk about. It's so funny to me, because all I've been doing, just probably like you, Mojo, all I've been doing is the same thing for literally, ready, 45 years.
Wow.
I started astrology when I was this tall, and I could not believe how much fun it was. And I have never stopped. And it's a career, and we teach people how to be astrologers. But the point is, I didn't know that I turned into a grown-up, and then people would quote me. I didn't see that coming.
Well, you didn't need to, because it was already written in the stars.
It was written in the stars. It was written in the stars. Good one. Okay, well, thank you guys so much. I'm so thankful for your support, because people don't believe in this shit, and they're skeptical. And Mojo, did you know anything about astrology before we started this?
Before meeting Grace, nothing. I knew I was a Cancer. That was it. And then, learned some from Grace. She talks about it every day, all day. So, yeah, this talking with you was like the first real discussion I've had about it.
Okay, so there you go. Go ahead, Grace.
I was going to say, and one thing I will note is when I met Mojo, I had done a lot of inner work over the COVID pandemic, introspective time. And I said, you know what? The next guy I meet, I'm not going to look at his birth chart. for like a few months, because I don't want to like be like, oh, he's this or he's that, or this sign might not work with this sign. So I was like, I'm just gonna let it be. I know he's a Cancer because I knew what day he was born on, but that's all I knew about him. And then later I looked at the whole extent of his chart. Like I waited maybe 6, and then I couldn't resist, and I got all excited to like look at all his little planets and whatnot. But I waited. I didn't want.
And you have such a beautiful chart, Dean, because you've got this compassion. I mean, you can't tell by looking. I mean, that's not true, but you're so kind.
That's what they say about me.
He can't stop giving. It's just his nature. He's like a giving tree. He's like the Christmas lights. And then Gracie, I know. And then Gracie Scorpio said, I'll support that. And once you get a girl on, I always tell men, I told my boys this, all you need is a good woman and the whole thing will change.
Facts.
Because that's not true for women. That's not true for women. We can live on our own, and we have girlfriends, and we're so close to our girlfriends. But men really need to have a good woman. Once you have one, the whole thing goes right. Am I right or am I right?
You're right. And you're right. A lot of changes over here in the past couple of years, so it's been fantastic. Brand new life these days.
I can't wait to watch your immersion. I can't wait to watch Aaron. I'm so interested in what he has to say because, you know, similar to my husband being an athlete, coming from a very regimented background and practicing, competing at such a high level, I find that so interesting to take something like astrology and apply it to his life. So I'm really looking forward to him and the rest of your guests in the immersion.
Okay, so he's the first guest, and it's on Monday. Wait, is it this Monday? I think it's this Monday, yeah. So this Monday, he'll be the first guest. And then on Tuesday is India. And then Tori DeVito, who's this famous actress. And then Danielle Laporte. And then the guy from Menudo, who is the most delightful. He is so sweet. He's a singer. But he's this, he is unbelievable Gemini. He's double Gemini. Didn't I say anything else? He has more juju and more tickling machines, and he makes me laugh, and I hope I can keep my straight face talking to him, because for some reason, you know, some people are so funny. Yeah. That's air. That's an air quality. I'm not so funny, but I'm really good at laughing when someone is. That's nice. My specialty. Okay, you guys, I'm going to keep going. Anyone that's interested, it's free. And it will describe for you the school if you're reluctant. And Maria Menounos is on Friday. So that's the menu. If any of you want to go see Maria, she'll be on the last day of the immersion. So feel free. And if you can
find it through, I'll post the link again. We'll post the link in our stories, and it's on you. They can go to your page and find all the info on the immersion for next week. And it's an hour and a half of looking at their charts. I'll actually pull up their chart, and then they'll tell us their story. And yes, you're right. Between Aaron and Maria and India Ree, we're going to be telling stories. I'm so excited. We're hyped.
And remember, I said the whole time that you are the Aaron Rodgers of the astrology game.
Oh, I'll tell him that. I got it. I'll let him know. He called me the Aaron Rodgers of astrology. I love that. Okay, I'm sending you aloha. Thank you, you guys. Thanks for all your love, and thanks for the beauty of your two faces, because you just made my day.
Thank you. You made our day, too. There she goes. All right, now I got to remember when I close this out, I have to save it. So let me not screw that up. Well, cool, man. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you're into astrology, I'm sure you got something out of that. If you're not into astrology, I'm sure you got something out of that, or at least, an entertaining half an hour. But, yeah, appreciate everybody jumping in. While we're live here, we got a couple more minutes before we got to go. And Bruce hasn't barked at all this whole time, which is pretty sweet. Let's answer any questions. We got this thing propped up on
We got a little stand going on.
Little stand, so I'm going to try not to knock it over. I was worried like someone was going to ring the doorbell and Bruce was going to wig out and knock the whole thing over here. But it looked like we had a bunch of people big into astrology in here, which was pretty cool. Grace will probably understand your comments and questions more so than I will. All right, actually, how do I scroll to the bottom? Let's do that.
What kind of question? Well, our day is going great so far. Now that we're talking to all y'all, any questions? I mean, whatever.
Yeah. Any questions about anything?
There was questions up top, but we can't scroll back to them. It's not letting us go back.
Amari Points. What's up, Playboy? Thank you always for the support. Party Marty, I'll respond to you because the handle's awesome. Secret entry in the Royal Rumble. I wouldn't bet on it.
For me to wrestle,
yeah, Grace might debut this.
Take the women's
title. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We haven't. I haven't done a wrestling match other than Dream Mania, which was incredible for the Down Syndrome Foundation since WWE. But I think this is going to be the year I finally make a decision on that front. Obviously been very busy with a lot of other projects, hosting TMZ Sports now. So check us out on FS1 every single weekday, me and Mike Babecock. Fantastic show, so much fun. One of the most fun jobs I've ever had in my entire life. And then Paragon Talent Group, representing all your favorite wrestlers. So that's been keeping me more busy than anything. And we'll see. But this is the year I'm going to make a decision on my wrestling future. It's time to take a stand on that one and figure it out. So I'm going to prioritize that this year.
Somebody said they missed the reading and how did we feel afterwards? So we actually had our reading with Debra right before our wedding, which was really fun. Dean Mojo surprised me with a reading with Debra, which was really cool. And afterwards, I think we both felt really just excited about our marriage and our relationship and taking the next steps together. So that was really fun. And because I had a background in astrology and he had none, it was really cool for us to suddenly have like a little bit of a level playing field on our insight into what's going on behind the scenes in the stars relating to our relationship. So that was really cool.
Is that
Blake Stevenson? Hello, Blake.
Blake ain't hype. Blake is never hyped. He's usually sleepy. He doesn't party. Kind of a boring guy, but we like him anyway. I hope he's still in here.
More wrestling questions.
You think you would return to AEW or WWE? I don't know. I guess time will have to tell, but we've been representing talent in everywhere, WWE, New Japan, AEW, Impact, just about everywhere. So been able to see some of those shows. May or may not be going out to Japan in the next few months to go see a big new debut of someone you guys know very well. We'll see what happens on that front. But yeah, we're going to take some time on that one. Can't give you any answers there yet. Who's that? Anastasia Mates.
Anna asked, how would you respond to people who are reluctant to get into astrology because of their religion? That's a really good question because I grew up Catholic. I have a lot, and I lived in Nashville, Tennessee for many years, and a lot of my friends there were very Christian. And there's definitely some weird feelings around astrology and what it kind of symbolizes, and if it's witchcraft, and if it's antichrist, and all of these kind of negative things that have been trickled in there. I think the biggest thing for me with astrology, I can't speak to anyone else. My biggest thing is take what you want and leave the rest. I think with any kind of metaphysical practice, whether it be tarot, astrology, any kind of spiritual practice, meditation, even some people think is against, I mean, it's prayer. It's just a different language to translate things. So if you feel like astrology is a negative in your religious practice, then maybe it's not for you. I think there's something that everyone can learn from it, because I don't think that, the star, if you believe in a God or a higher power, to think that we were so divinely created and this universe was created so perfectly that these things could align, I just don't think there's any mistakes. And so for me, I kind of tie that to my source, my God, that we were gifted this science of astrology. And I think it's really cool. But if you're not comfortable with it, that's okay. Maybe now is not the right time for you to explore astrology. And maybe next year you'll take a peek at it and see how it relates to your religion. But it's only an addition if you feel comfortable with it. I don't think anyone needs to believe anything that they don't want to believe.
And my thoughts on the matter, if you can just lean back, is that my arms are literally bigger than Grace's head. Because someone asked me to flex in the chat. So there you go. Okay. Well, that'll do it, my friends. Thank you guys for joining us today. This was a lot of fun. Thank you for listening, and thank you for your questions. Bruce says thank you as well. They want to say hi, Bruce. Come up here and say hello.
He's
Right over there.
right here, Bruce.
Right there, buddy. Say hi, Bruce. Bruce. Hi, guys.
He needs to work out now. All that fire in his chart. He's a little excited.
All right, and I have to save this now. So
Thanks,
I close
everybody.
it out. Thanks, guys. Say hi to everybody.